Well, hello world. I am the Mystic Philosopher, and thanks for tuning into my channel. The right number. In continuation of my series of presentations called The Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell, the topic of today's presentation is I am black and I am proud. Another perspective. And in this presentation I will address and answer a few questions and comments that I have received from some of you, my viewers, and particularly from at least two of the systems educated PhD scholars and black leaders who I honestly think were just expressing sarcasms with their questions and comments. However, I'm going to be answering them. And some of the questions and comments that I will be addressing in this presentation goes like this. Number one, if the word black and Negro were not good names, then why did our great leaders and heroes such as Marcus Garvey, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and all others that call themselves black, and the people they led and represented blacks and Negroes? It continues, question number two. If the words black and Negro were not good words, then why did Dr. King, in one of his very famous speeches, taught his followers to say, and I quote, say it loud, I am black and I am proud. Said, comments and question continued, it said, if it was good for them, meaning our elders, our leaders and ancestors, if it was good for them to be called blacks and Negroes back in those days, then why is it or why should it be any different for us to be called black or blacks and Negroes today, unquote. Now, from my perspective, with the exception of the sarcasms that are expressed by some of my critics, and particularly the two systems black scholars, I must admit that these questions and comments are very valid. They are very valid. They are very valid, legitimate, honest, and intelligent questions. And in order to find genuine answers, I think that they should and that they must be treated as such, meaning they should and that they must be treated as very valid, legitimate, and as intelligent questions. The very word question means to seek, as in a search for information. So I consider every question to be search for information. So in my genuine attempt at answering these questions and comments, I will be a bit more detailed than before, and in so doing I will be examining some of the things that most of your leaders, your teachers, and some of my critics and opponents may have overlooked or simply may have taken for granted. Because of the amount of material and points that I want to cover and expound on in this presentation, I will also be segmenting this presentation so that you may be able to, you my viewers may be able to watch or listen to it at your convenience. I am aware that most of you might not have the time to sit and watch it all in its entirety and in one sitting. So by segmenting it, I think you will be able to stop and start at your convenience. All I humbly ask is that you watch all the segments so that you can get the whole picture before you come to your conclusion. So please tune in right here. They're at the right number. So to begin, let me say yes, I am well aware that Marcus Garvey called the people he led and represented Negroes and black people. And they, his faithful and very grateful and committed followers, they in turn revered him and called him their black Moses and their black Messiah. In fact, some even go as far as to call him their black Redeemer. Yes, I am well aware that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called the people he led and represented Negroes and black people. In fact, I am also well aware of his most famous quotes, or one of his most famous quotes and lessons that he taught them. A lesson and a quote that one of my favorite singers, the late James Brown, re-echoed in one of his songs. Quote, say it loud, I am black and I am proud. And yes, I am well aware of the fact that Malcolm X also called the people that he led and represented Negroes and black people. He also talked a lot about black liberation, or rather black nationalism. So why am I, the mystic philosopher, now saying that the word black, the word Negro, is not a good word? A word to call, a good word to call, to name, to label, to profile, or to list. In other words, to be called black or Negro. Why am I saying it is not good? If all those great leaders then saw it fit and good to be called Negroes and blacks back then, and in those days, especially during the time that is known as the Great Civil Rights Movement, then why is it not good to be called Negroes and blacks today? These are a few of the challenging questions, as I've mentioned before. Very challenging and thought-provoking and very intelligent questions that I have been asked and that I now hope to answer and put their answers in their proper perspective, while shedding some more, or maybe some new light and insight into the subject of the curse of being called black and the black spell. Now let me use the principle called LIFO, L-I-F-O, meaning last in and first out, to answer the last question first, or to begin by answering the last question first. If all those great leaders saw it fit and good to be called Negroes and blacks back then, especially during the Civil Rights Movement, why is it not good to be called Negro and black today? Now, to this I will respond directly and unapologetically by saying that from my perspective, it was not good then, the past. It is not good now, the present. Nor will it be any good for us to continue accepting and embracing being called black or Negro and continue calling ourselves and our children blacks and Negroes into the future, period. And this is regardless of who may have called us black and Negro then, regardless of who is calling us black and Negro now, and regardless of who will call or who will or may attempt or will be attempting to call us black and Negro into the future. So yes, these great leaders, visionaries, pace setters, and revolutionaries, etc., did call themselves black and did represent themselves as being black. Because from my perspective, in all things considered, that was what they knew themselves to be at that time. That was the name, the label, and the profile they were given and had inherited from the European, Caucasians, British, Anglo-Saxon slave masters. The slave masters' heirs and successors and their slavery economic system. Let me also remind you, or as food for thought, let me remind you that the English language and the English tongue is not our natural, native, earthly human language or our tongue. And let me also remind you that it was not the intent of the English, the British slave masters, the alien conquerors, the colonizers, the human traffickers, the imperialists, exploiters, and manipulators, the system. It was not their intent for those of our leaders and the people they led back then, be it the leader Marcus Garvey, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X, etc. And neither is it their intention for us, the survivors in this generation of the 21st century and any future generations to know and to fully understand their language, the English language, or any other of their European Caucasian language. Please be not deceived. It is not their intent. So please don't be fooled, my African brothers and sisters, by their English schools and their education. Don't be fooled, or because they educate you and gave you a degree along with the title of an English professor. Please don't let that get to your head and stop trying to put me, your brother, down for exposing these great, big, black and white lies. For if you really and truly knew and understand their language, their English language, or if you would just employ some basic common sense, you would know that you are not English. You would know that you are not British, Anglo-Saxon, or a European. And that neither are these people your ancestors. But you are a brother and a sister, just like me. It is quite evident by your carbon or melaninated skin complexion, among all the other giveaways, that it is quite evident that you are an African or of African descent. that geographical region known as Africa today. Second, if you really and truly know and understand their language, you would know that a degree in something or a degree in anything is not the whole of that thing. Therefore, a degree of knowledge of the English language, whether it is called a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a PhD, in the English language is not, and I repeat, it is not a knowledge of the whole English language. The language which is our slave masters' language and tongue. And if that is what you believe, then I must regretfully inform you. You believe a mendacious lie. I love that word. I learned it from a Jamaican politician, by the way. For again, common sense should tell you that if the whole is made up of 360 degrees and you only have 1 degree, then you are still ignorant of 359 degrees. And even if you have 10 degrees, 10 PhDs, you are still ignorant of 350 degrees. So, though I honestly honor, respect, and admire your great courage, and must applaud you, and must commend you sincerely for your hard work, your dedication and determination, your many sacrifices, and your personal achievements in earning your PhD, your Doctor of Philosophy and Literature in the English language. Above all, you have earned it from one of the slavery economic systems highly recognized and most prestigious universities. I commend you and I congratulate you, as they would say, congratulate you. However, I must also regretfully inform you that your PhD does not really impress I, the Mystic Philosopher, that much, so as to cause I, the Mystic Philosopher, to now surrender to you my mind and my latent ability to independently, critically, and logically think, to make wise judgment, and to reasonably arrive at solution for myself. No, it does not impress me that much. I would rather be seen and thought of as being wrong for thinking for myself and for expressing my own thoughts than to be seen and thought of as being coachable and right for regurgitating and expounding your system trained thoughts and ideologies. Third, if you really and truly know and understand their language, then you would also know that the word profess, from which the word professor is derived, also means to claim or to pretend. So you may claim or pretend as much as you like to be English, to know English. You may behave like them. You may speak, quite possibly, more eloquent than some of them. You may dress like them. But remember though this, my brothers and sisters, you are not one of them. Period. And that it was not, and that it is not their intention for you and me to know the meanings and the secrets of their language. It is their language. It is their tongue. It is not yours. It is not ours. And this is why I'm having so much problem trying to use it to express my thoughts. But we'll get to that later.